Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Investor Financing Podcast. Today we're going all the way to New York. I was actually born in the suburbs of New York. I was born in Middletown, New York. Anyway, our guest today, yeah, and I did live in Pennsylvania. From New York, I moved to Allentown, Pennsylvania, spent a long time there. I think 11 years old, my family moved to California. I spent most of my life in California, and now I'm here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'll stay here. Probably, I want to live here probably all my life. I'll probably get a second home in Mexico is the goal, on the beach somewhere in Mexico. My wife's family is from Mexico, so I'm in the process.
Oh, that'd be good,
yeah. So that's the goal. So William Morales, welcome to the show. He's another host of a podcast called Peer to Peer Real Estate Podcast. And the purpose of his show is to interview seasoned investors and newer investors, just kind of have conversations about real estate. William's been in real estate for about 7 years. He also is interested in REITs and crowdfunding. William, what were you doing before you got into real estate?
Wow. Well, I still have a full-time job. So, I do this all on the side. But I got into real estate. I remember, I think I started my first boot camp I went to was in, I think, January 2007. And I'm going to be honest with you, Beau, and this is for your audience, pick a niche and stay with it. I was flying all over the place. I wanted to do fix and flip, thanks to HGTV and all that stuff, until I settled on creative financing. I bought real estate stocks like REITs. I got into crowdfunding with a company called Fundrise and things like that. I'm not affiliated with Fundrise, but pretty much before 2015, I was just pretty much all over the place because I didn't know what to pick, and I got into that shiny object syndrome. So
yeah, I think
pick one and stay with it.
I think a lot of people see everything and really got to look where you're at too. If you happen to be fortunate and have hundreds of thousands of dollars in your bank, then maybe you could just go and start buying rental property after rental property. But most of us that don't have that, we have to do creative financing because it's like the easiest way to get in with little amount of cash, and you can create great cash flow and you can build your wealth that way. So what strategies do you really like? You like the lease options, the subject to? Where do you find that you kind of resonate the most with on these strategies?
Probably lease options / lease purchase. I haven't done a sub 2 yet, but right now those are my two favorites to do: lease purchase, lease option. I feel it's easier for me to get into with little money as possible. Maybe a small down payment. And then from there, just create a contract, whether it's 3, 4, 5 years to buy the seller out. So that's been so far my go-to, which is lease options.
Who do you think has the best? What mentor out there has the best info on the lease option game? Would you say?
I got a couple. I think Wendy Patton. Mm-hmm. She's probably the queen of it. She has a great book called Lease Option and Subject to Investing. I definitely recommend your audience to get that. There's a guy named Pace Morby. He's big on, I think he's out of Arizona, and
sub
he's
two.
big on sub 2 and creative financing. So I definitely him. A guy named Joe McCall. He does Simple Lease. He calls his program Simple Lease Options. So there's a few, and then I got my favorites like Mitch Steven, Larry Goins, and Scott Jelinek. Those guys are basically, they buy properties with whether it's their own cash or private money, and then sell long term with them becoming the bank. I love that strategy just as well, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of areas throughout the U.S. where you can still buy properties, believe it or not, for like $20,000, $15,000, $30,000, and then you could turn around and sell them on terms. There's certain things you need to do when you're doing that. You need a MLO, mortgage loan officer, if you're doing a certain amount. Yeah. I think you get up to 3 in most states. And anyways, you got to always consult an expert, but you actually need a mortgage loan originator for an owner-occupied underwrite. Like if it's going to be an owner-occupant buying it and you're selling on terms, to give them the green light to make sure that they qualify and they can make payments, essentially, that they have the ability to repay. That's why the government enacted that rule But if it's a non-owner occupied property, you could sell on terms all day long without having to do that. So you just not need to know the ins and outs, right, William?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. My first deal that I did in 2015, I definitely got an MLO. I just wanted to be compliant from the get-go. I made sure we had a title company, we had a credit repair company to make sure they have this gentleman had the ability to repay. So it's important to me from the get-go to get an MLO. You could just go to pretty much any website or just type in MLO and your county or your city, and you'll find tons and tons of them. Because again, it's imperative that you follow the laws, because believe me, they will get you. So I did it from my first deal even to my second deal. I got an MLO and made sure that the ability to repay was compliant.
So this deal, this was the one you were telling me earlier about. It was in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, that one I bought. I saw it on realtor.com, and it was on the market for about 100 days, 101 days, give or take. And I just reached out to the realtor. The bank, I think it was a PNC bank, wanted 27,000, and I offered 8 in cash. The realtor said, no, that's too low. Hung up. 2 weeks later, he called me back and he said, does my offer still stand? And I said, sure. It's my first deal, Bo. So I'm excited. I should have just said, I could give you 5, but, I got it for 8. After a few paperwork, wiring the money, title company, all that, he was able to get me a buyer about 2 to 3 weeks later. Low credit score, but he had the income once we did the research and the background check. And it's been 7 years now that he's been paying me on time. We had a 8-year contract, 96 months
So
for him to pay me out.
let's walk through this deal. You bought it for $8,000. You had another $1,500 or so in closing costs, whatever that.
Yeah.
So you're all in at 10 grand.
About, yes.
Okay, what did you sell to this end buyer?
The same price, 27 that the bank was offering. I got a 10% down payment. The monthly, I think I was charging 8% interest. So my payment, I think, was $342.07 less $35 because I got a loan servicing company to collect the money for me. They get $35 fee. I mean, I could have done it myself, but again, I just want to make sure I dotted my I's and crossed my T's, and then I sold it for 8 years, which is I think 96 months on terms.
So it's coming due now, or is he going to pay it off? There's no balloon. It's just a straight. It's a straight.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to cash me out, he could. But it's
But I'm sure that property's probably worth at least 70 grand now.
Probably. The last time I did an appraisal, which was maybe 3 years ago, was it 2022, 2019, and it was at 61, 62, if I remember correctly, give or take. The appraisal, and I'm like, shoot, I could sell this, in the open market for 45 or 50. But you know what? I still have it. I never even tried to even sell it. I haven't got any solicitations from other investors about it.
And what's your monthly payment? I'm sorry, what are you collecting monthly?
$307.07, less than $35 that the servicing company gets, the loan servicing company gets.
Got it. So you got. All right. So if we walk through this deal, you're in at 10 grand, right? And you don't have to deal with any maintenance or repairs because that's
they do everything themselves.
So you got $2,700 down essentially.
Yes.
So then you were left with $7,300 in the deal, right?
Yeah.
And then you're getting $320 a month times $300 a month times 12, right? Is so after year 3, you were just about. After year 2.5, so you were
something like that.
You were free and clear. You had no more money in the deal.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, and like I said, if he wanted to pay me off, he could. We gave him that option, but again, he hasn't. So, and again, to me, I don't mind collecting the 307.07, whatever it is, because it's almost passive income. Believe me, I keep tabs on the property. I spoke to that owner, to new owner, maybe once or twice in the last, 7 years, 5 years. So we have hardly any communication. So, and the payments come on time. So I haven't even had any complaints.
That's a really cool business model. I mean, it's probably harder to find those $8,000 properties now. They're probably more like 25.
Yeah.
Distressed like that, but they're still out there, and you could still make those work because rents have gone up significantly in these markets. So, yeah, no, I would say that was a good deal. And you can now, when you went to go relist this, did you put it back on the MLS or did you just sell it?
No, I went to the realtor and he took care of it. He was able to, he put it on his website, Zillow. I think we did Trulia. I think I posted it on Craigslist. I didn't do, I don't think Facebook Marketplace was up yet in 2015. I don't remember, but just the normal websites that we put it on. And he also put it on his.
And how fast did you find the buyer?
He maybe 2 weeks. 2.5 weeks tops. He said he had a list because I talked to him first though. Bo, I made sure I said, this is what I want to do. I want to do owner financing. I want to buy it cash and then resell it on the market for long-term payments. Is that something you would help me with? He goes, yeah. I got tons of buyers. The credit, I told him I'm looking for credit scores under 700. And like I said, within 2.5 weeks, he found me a buyer. Yeah. That was luck. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that was luck.
Well, I think there's a lot of buyers out there that don't have the credit score, and a lot of banks and lenders won't make small loans under 50 grand. So
that's true, yeah.
So there is.
I found that out the hard way.
So there's a huge opportunity to continue doing these type of transactions. There's not as many people that focus on this kind of lower end type of transaction, but I'm imagining that there is an endless amount of buyers that are wasting their money on rent, and they would say, "Oh wow." And the nice thing is that you don't have that much cash in. So that same deal today would probably cost you 25 grand.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But you could still pencil it out. And then, but at that time in 2015, what was the market rent there for that property?
If I remember correctly, I think it was about 850 to 925.
So you could have bumped up the payment a little bit because you want to just be under. From what some of the guys in the world that I've talked to that do this type of deals is they always say you want to be cheaper than their rent.
Yeah.
So like you were at 3 something, you could have probably been at more of like if the market rent payment was 8 at the time, you could have been at 5 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, I would have had to probably bump up the interest rate that I charge because I think I'm charging 8% if I remember.
But
correctly.
you could have done a shorter term.
Yeah, that too. I could have done maybe 5 years instead, maybe 4 or something like that. Yeah, you're right. As my first deal, so since I was still a novice, this is something that I didn't know, and then some of the people that I talked to didn't even come up with this suggestion like you have. But yeah, that definitely made a lot of hindsight. Yes, definitely I could have done it that way. But the thing too, Bo, is here I am. I'm approaching 55 at that time. I'm 60 now. I'm 55 at then, and I'm thinking retirement. Like in other words, leaving my job but still work in the real estate business as long as I can. So I'm thinking also trying to get cash to bump up, my savings, pay down some debt that I have. So at that time, I was just happy to get my first deal.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a lot of people in your situation, right? You're nearing. I mean, you look great for 60, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
So you take care of yourself. So. But there's a lot of people in your shoes right now, and that's my worst nightmare. I'm 44 right now. I know I look like I'm 25, but
you do. You look young.
my worst nightmare is I'm 70 years old, 65 years old, and I'm working at Walmart, right? Yeah. Like, no offense to anybody that's working at Walmart.
No,
but that's
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like that's like the fear in the back of every entrepreneur's mind. You've worked as a W-2 employee your whole life, right? And it really, I'm sure you wish now that you would have gotten into real estate years and years ago in your 20s and 30s, right? You'd be in a completely different financial situation, right? You would be way farther ahead. You'd be sitting on a beach right now in Mexico or somewhere. But I also think it's important to note that you're never too old to get into real estate. I mean, I've heard of people in their late 60s that did their first flip, because at the end of the day, it's a great tool to make money and cash flow if you know what you're doing. And you could be super creative. You can do these sandwich lease options. You can buy subject to. you can get into this game with very little money, but just being able to find the deals is the key, right?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Because I was doing the mail list, I used listsource.com, and they got their filters, and I would look for absentee homeowners, and that was tough because you would send out a couple of hundred letters like I would, and I might get one or two responses. So then I tried Zillow, and realtor.com worked first. That was good. And then Zillow, when I got the second deal in 2020, that was good. But I tried Zillow again like a year ago in 2021, and two scams almost caught me where, somebody posed as an owner and they were open to terms. And then I find out it wasn't even the owner because I was doing my research. So for your listeners, you got to watch out for some of these websites because sometimes people pose as owners and they're not even the owner of a property. So that's when you got to do your research, your title search, and all that to make sure whoever you're talking to is the actual owner. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, that's good. So, no, this is good for the people that are newer to real estate investing. That there's tools out there where you can pull property profiles, you can see who the owner is.
Yeah, the county website is it's huge, and Zillow. I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off. When you scroll down, in certain parts of Zillow, you'll see where it says county website. You just click on that and just put the property address, and you could find out who the owner is. Title companies sometimes do that for you. So again, it's like you said, the tools are out there.
So you got your two deals under your belt. Now, what's the goal here? What are you doing right now? Where are you looking? Are you still looking in Pennsylvania? Are you looking all over?
I'm looking all over. I've been using, again, I look Zillow as a starter. Redfin is another good site, Redfin, redfin.com. Because there with that list, if you look at 60 days and older list, they'd have filters. You could print the list on an Excel file. And then from there, just, break it down into owner, address, mailing address, and you can contact the owner that way. But I'm looking now and still in Pennsylvania. I'm looking in Indianapolis, Missouri, and there was another state I was looking at, and Orlando still, because I have my brother there. So, and he's my eyes and ears. But the properties in Orlando just keeps on going up and up. But those are the states that I'm looking at.
Yeah, well, I think we're finally seeing a cooling off in the market. I think in the next month, the news will start changing because the news is always the news is still like, oh, home prices are so high, but you're going to start seeing more and more fear in the streets. I think you're going to see inventory increasing, right? Because we do have a shortage of inventory. So we will see prices in some markets decline. I would say pretty quickly. You're starting to see price reductions now. Not every market because everything is specific. So I think it's going to create a tremendous opportunity. I think it's going to create a tremendous opportunity for lease options because you're going to get somebody who bought at the top of the market with an FHA loan or whatever. If they went to sell, they'd get a short sale and they want to ruin their credit. So a lease option is going to be a very good tool. I've always been a pay with cash, use hard money, and I keep on telling myself, God, I know I'm a deal structure. I need to get more into the creative side. Not that I can't put the cash together. I just think, like, especially in the market that's coming up, that there'll be tremendous opportunity. So it's good to have your different tools.
Yeah.
You have your hard money, you have your private lenders, you have your subject to investing model. Lease option with a sandwich lease, right? There's so many, there's some people that are just lease optioning properties with an option to buy, but they're converting them to STR properties, short-term rental properties. So and getting huge cash flow. So I think there's huge amounts of opportunity. Let's talk about your podcast. When did you start your podcast? Peer-to-peer real estate.
Thank you for that. It was in 2017. A couple of weeks. I didn't take hold of it until maybe 2020, 2019. I started getting more and more when I went to all these meetups and I would hand out my business card and hey, I'd like to be on the show. So then I just started getting more. I started putting more episodes up on LinkedIn. And then I started getting more and more people from LinkedIn reaching out to me. So it's taken off from there. Really, from the last 2+ years, it's taken off. And then what I wanted to do, Bo, with the show was just make it different. Just interview people that are in the real estate business, whether you're a seasoned investor or newbie, whether you're a contractor or realtor or a home inspector. We don't hear those voices. So I wanted to do a different type of show where I've had pretty much everything from top investors in the game to newbie starting, and I love doing it because I learn a lot. Whenever I'm on shows like yours, it's a pleasure that they even ask me, and I learn because I always try to reciprocate and have I'm going to have Beau on hopefully in a week or two. So, so look out for that. But yeah, I love doing the show. It's taking off more than I even expected.
That's great. Yeah, no, I love doing interviews. You always learn something from even the.
Yes.
So give me one of your episodes that you think kind of resonated with you the most. You got a lot of value out of someone of your guests.
You know what? There was a guy who was talking about lease options, lease purchase. His name is Chris Prefontaine. And I had interviewed him maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and then I interviewed him again a few months ago. But that resonated with me because of the creative side of real estate that, like we talked about, excuse me, that we don't hear often about. Everybody, does conventional loans or get private money, but like you say, with the market possibly correcting itself, those 2 episodes that I did with him and also his son-in-law, those that resonated with me because it was all about creative financing and how you could, find a buyer, how you could sell it, what you need, title company, and everything. Those are the episodes that definitely resonated with me. That I say, hey, I need to do more of this.
Yeah, no, I had them on my show too. Exactly. I enjoyed having them. I had one of their
Yeah.
students. I had one of their students on too. He was a really sharp guy. Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to going after it. Really, it's a numbers game. You have to contact X amount of people. You have to get on the phone. Like, you're never going to get deals unless you do outreach. I mean, that's just the bottom line. You have to have wholesalers. You have to do direct to seller. I mean, I think the more and more as a property transitions from a seller's market to a buyer's market,
Yeah.
that's when it's going to get good. And the same thing's going to happen. There's going to be some investors that get out of the game because they get hurt, right? They're doing a big flip, and all of a sudden, what they thought they were going to sell for $1 million in California, they're going to sell for 750, and they lose their shirt. And so we'll see some of that. Real estate's cyclical, and I think you got to know how to do play the cycles. But there's always opportunity in an upward market or downward market.
You're listening to the Investor Financing Podcast. We'll be right back after this break.
Hello, Beau Eckstein here, host of the Investor Financing Podcast. Are you a lender, real estate professional, or vendor that provides products or services within the real estate investing and business owner space? We are offering a few sponsorship opportunities to get in front of a highly targeted audience. If you're interested, please click the link below for further information. We look forward to talking with you. Thanks. Make it a great day. And what's one of your favorite books or podcasts that you're read recently or listened to recently?
Well, there's a lot of podcasts, but books, I think for your audience, if they're getting started in real estate, there's a couple of books. One is the gentleman's name is Frank Gallinelli. I think I got his name right. And it's what you need to know about cash flow and 36 other formulas, something like that. That's a beginner's guide to learning the numbers in real estate. To me, that's the first book I ever read. Once I read that, and once you get past chapter, I think 4 or 3, I can't remember which one it was, then the book becomes easier. But yeah, it's Frank Gallinelli, what every investor needs to know about cash flow and 36 other formulas, something like that. And the next book I would recommend, it's Mitch Stevens' The Art of Owner Financing. pretty much he talks about how he does his deals and all that. That's a good book. Chris Prefontaine has one, Real Estate on Your Terms. He talks about, again, how to structure lease options, lease purchase, straight owner financing. So those are the 3 books I definitely recommend for your audience.
Well, thank you so much, William. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And if you guys want to tune into his podcast, you can go to iTunes or Stitcher, anywhere, and you get Peer-to-Peer Real Estate. His website's also Peer 2, and that's just the number 2, peerrealestate.com. William, thank you so much. Look forward to being on your show talking all about financing real estate.
Yeah, no, sounds good, Beau. Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We bring all sorts of investors and lenders on the show so you can hear people's stories, right? Didn't William motivate you, right? He was 55, did his first deal, and now he's super hungry to do more to help him, as he's getting ready to retire in the next couple of years, give him some extra spending money.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Beau.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.